Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 yo, go, go, go. Hustle hard, hustle every single day.
Hey guys, this is just one guy, and I'm back here with something of a different video today. Now, I was playing Mass Effect, and it got me thinking because earlier I was watching a video about AI, and when I was playing Mass Effect, I realized that this is one of the games that handles the classification of AI better than any game I ever saw, and I think we should take some of the terminology and start to use it in real life. Because when I was watching the video on AI, they were talking about, has it developed too far, or is it going out of control and everything like that. And what we have now really shouldn't be classified as AI. Now, to get into that, I want to talk about how Mass Effect classifies AI versus VI. Now, VI is just a virtual interface. It's basically like a Google helper assistant or something like that. And AI is actually a thinking machine. Now, in the game, this manifests as a VI being something that you first talk to when you enter an area. And it's basically going to give you all the information about that area and basically help you get around. And that's sort of what we have now. It can dynamically answer your questions, and it can give you a lot of information, but it's not really thinking for itself. It's just giving you an answer to a question that you asked in a dynamic way. And that's more or less how AI works now. It doesn't actually think or try to give you new information or create new information. It just mixes up existing information and then give it to you in a sort of dynamic way so you can understand it better. Now, the important thing about this is if you classify AI in that way, you understand the limitations of what AI can do and what it can't do. Now, whenever we talk about AI in like the media or something, they more see it as the AI from Terminator. Like, can it go out of control? Can it take over something? Just can it do all these weird things that AI isn't even close to being able to do? And just to give a real world demonstration of this, when I see people using ChatGPT online, they'll ask it something like, is Taylor Swift beautiful? Now, the AI can't actually answer that question because it's not thinking. It can't make an objective decision on whether something is or isn't. All it can do is gather information on the internet and give you a consensus of that information. Now, when you ask the AI, is Taylor Swift beautiful? The AI doesn't know whether she's beautiful or not. What the AI is going to do is use all the data on the internet, read all the articles of people writing about her, and take all the humans who wrote that opinion and then come to a consensus on that data, which is probably yes. Now, it will answer you confidently yes, but it doesn't actually know. It's just giving you a consensus on existing data on the internet. And that's why classification is important, because if you classified it as VI, people would understand what the AI is doing and wouldn't expect it to do things that it can't do. The AI can't give you an opinion. It can only give you a consensus on data that it's trained on. And in Mass Effect, they very clearly state this with the difference between VI and AI. VI will only give you a consensus on data and information it was programmed to give you. It will give you that in a dynamic way and talk to you in a way that seems like it's human, but is very understood within the Mass Effect universe that a VI is not thinking, while an AI is considered to be thinking. That makes its own opinions, its own decisions. It isn't really controlled by a human. It doesn't need human input to think. And it's very understood within the Mass Effect universe that an AI is more or less considered like a person. Of course, in the Mass Effect universe, they discriminate against AI because it went out of control, but that's because you naturally wouldn't be able to control AI. The reason AI doesn't exist, and I talked about this before, And why AI would never exist is because it can make its own decisions. There's no need for to have a machine that can make its own decisions. Humans need machines that does exactly what they tell it to do. There's no scenario in which you would need AI, real AI that can think for itself, for anything, because in the situations where you would want limited AI, where something like a video game, you would still want to be able to put parameters and controls on that AI, and you wouldn't need it to be that complicated to think for itself. People think that you would want AI, but what you really want is a more complicated form of something like Google or a complex programming language. You really don't want AI to do anything because AI is inherently uncontrollable. Now, if we classified the difference between VI and AI the way they did on Mass Effect, you would understand this. And so it would do two things. It would help AI develop, what we call AI develop faster, because people would understand the limitations of it and wouldn't expect the stuff like GPT to do things it's just never set up to do and can't do. Now, part of this is marketing, because the people that market these services would want you to believe that AI can do anything. And here's an example of a VI right here. Just going to turn up the sound.
And I am pleased to be your virtual guide throughout this level of.
Now, this is something like we have now, which would be ChatGPT. I am asking the questions, but it can't really answer those questions. It's just giving me a consensus.
Interactive virtual intelligence, programmed to provide spontaneous guidance at predetermined locations of interest throughout this level of the Citadel. I may also be contacted through any of the Presidium VI terminals, should you require assistance.
And you can see there, she just explained what she was. She isn't actually AI, she's VI. And that distinction is important. And if we use that same distinction in the real world, we would be able to develop AI much faster and limit the expectations on what the AI is capable of, so we can use it for its intended purpose, instead of trying to use it for things it was never intended to do, and then saying the AI doesn't work because it wasn't programmed to do those things in the first place. Now, I do want to see actual AI developed, but I have little hope in that, because the companies like Google and Microsoft that could develop it wouldn't develop it because there's no practical use case for AI. And just to give you an example, in the Mass Effect universe, they actually did create AI. I guess robots and coding got so complex, and originally they invented the Geth, which would eventually become AI. But originally, the Geth was developed as worker drones, to be very complicated worker drones. And so they eventually became so complex, they became true AI. And the danger of that was, since they could think for themselves, they just decided to think, hey, we don't want to be your slaves, and we don't want to do your work, so we're just going to rebel. And that's the danger in developing actual AI. If you did actually develop AI, it wouldn't do what you told it to do, and it wouldn't work as its intended purpose. And that can help you see why there's no practical purpose for AI, because something like that would be able to happen. Now, another thing is, we aren't even close to being able to develop actual AI, just because the computing power and everything like that. Even ChatGPT runs off servers in Microsoft somewhere, probably holding giant, enormous amounts of data and going through it. It's only possible because you're just connecting over the internet to a Microsoft server, and Microsoft more or less has infinite money to do whatever it wants. But theoretically, it could develop AI if it really wanted to, but why would it? The Geth example is the perfect example of that, because it could just do whatever it wants. In fact, Microsoft did develop something like AI. I can't remember what it was, but it didn't have any restrictions on it, and it went crazy and started saying a bunch of Nazi stuff and everything like that, because of the data it was trained on was from human beings, and human beings are kind of dicks. So it did a bunch of unintended stuff, and Microsoft, I believe it's Microsoft or Google, they just turned it off because it had no use case, and it was just being very racist and saying a bunch of Nazi stuff. So that's one of the things that would help if you just gave it a different classification and stopped calling ChatGPT AI and started calling it VI, because it would just help with people's expectations of what it could do. And when I was playing Mass Effect, I had this since I was playing Mass Effect for so long, I had this idea ingrained into me. So when I use ChatGPT, I don't treat it like a person. I don't expect it to have its own opinions and stuff like that. I give it data and then I expect an answer. But I'm very aware that answer may or may not be true, and it's just a consensus upon data, and not actually what ChatGPT thinks, because ChatGPT doesn't think. It's just giving me consensus on a data, or what's more likely to be true based on the data it was given. But I see a lot of people, they try to talk to it like it's a person and take all its answers as facts and just go, oh, ChatGPT said it. And that creates a lot of problems because they don't actually understand the limitations of the AI. And I'm kind of repeating myself, but if you really did this classification between AI and VI, it would just work so much better. And that's all I wanted to say for today, because I thought it was an interesting subject when I was watching the video and they were talking about the limitations of AI and whether we should stop developing AI. And I actually think we should start developing it faster, but more ethical, because the only real dangers of AI currently that we are developing is the models and the data that is trained upon, and people misunderstanding the limitations of it and taking it as fact. And the first one could be solved just by limiting what type of data sets you trained it on. Of course, we'll have to update our laws to deal with certain AI cases, like theft of material. Like, I use AI to code a lot, and some of the code is clearly copyrighted or belongs to some company or some person wrote it. We would have to update our copyright laws and our what do you call it? Not free speech. I forgot the word for it. But we would have to update laws to deal with that, just to make sure you're not stealing material or something like that. Or if you are the proper person whose data it was trained, who created the data it was trained on, gets paid. Those are the real dangers of AI. It's just that people won't receive credit for their materials or on the data they created, whether it be pictures, code, or whatever, and just using AI more ethically. And the second problem is just that people don't understand the limitations of it and take it as fact. But that could be easily solved if you just classified it as VI instead of AI. And that way people know it's just a more complicated form of Google, instead of thinking it's like the Terminator coming over to take over the world. Anyway, that's it for today. Thank you for watching.